Hello, my name's Steve Stierwalt. I'm recently elected president of the State Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts, and trying to respond to some of the things that were talked about at our summer conference of doing a better, trying to do whatever we can, or a better job, or whatever you want to say, of communications. We're trying out a format of a form of a podcast that we can get. Hopefully get more information out to anybody that's interested on a quicker basis. And the idea is that if we do it in this form, then anybody between district directors and employees can get the same information as quickly as possible. Now, this first one has been delayed longer than I was hoping, but we're trying to work out the technology and something like that. So I hope you'll beg your pardon in advance, because this is not going to be a real slick presentation, but the idea is to get the information out. The topic for this first podcast is going to be the meeting that we had with the Governor's Office of Management and Budget, which I'd like to refer to in the future as GOMB, on August 18th. We all know the story. There's not enough money to go around. There's a lot of interest groups competing for a small amount of money, and our friends in the governor's office and IDOA must make tough decisions. So we understand that, but we did get an opportunity to talk to the people who are the decision makers, in my opinion, in the governor's office, and kind of tell our story and what we were hoping to accomplish. We've heard over the last year that we need to change. And I, for one, really never understood for sure what the word change meant. But as I've mentioned before, we had an opportunity with the Governor's Office Management Budget and IDOA were in this meeting to have the real decision makers at the table and be able to ask that question. Instead of just trying to guess and come up with a direction, this was our opportunity. So we asked, what is the goal for the governor's office? What is the plan? What does change mean? And so it was a nice opportunity, because they went right to the answer that the last time we were funded, so the Soil and Water Conservation Districts were funded. We received $6 million for operations and $1.5 million for cost share. That, when you're in the budget office, that does not look like a good investment of state funds, having so much for operations and very little of that money actually getting on the ground. It looked to the governor's office that is not a good return on their investment. So knowing that is the concern, is very valuable. So we can argue whether return on investment is really a good way to measure what soil and water conservation districts do, and obviously I would argue against that. But it is important that we understand that is where how we're being assessed right now. So we need to keep that in mind. Return on the state's investment. We also asked, while we had the opportunity, about the number of districts. 97 districts. Was reducing the number of districts part of their plan? My understanding of the answer was that they did not necessarily have a goal on how many districts there should be, but there is a concern that if they divide the limited resource dollars over 97 districts, is that enough money to do anything? Would it be better, the question was, to fund fewer districts with more dollars so those districts would have enough money to actually get work done? Might it be a better investment for the state? So it was important also to understand, where they were coming on the number of districts. So my understanding is that it's not necessarily the number of districts. It really is about the money. So we need to keep that in mind. our response. We needed to, in our meeting, we needed to respond to the concerns of the GOMB and the Department of Ag. So Kelly, we had produced this map of the state of Illinois that showed our resources, our valuable resources, our people, where they are across the state, and how they're being shared and like that. And so we tried to make the case that to accomplish the mission that was given to us by the state of Illinois when in the District Act, we needed to serve the whole state. And we talked about the many changes that have already happened across the state, as I mentioned, with sharing resources, sharing people, and a lot of changes have already taken place. And then we talked about the strategic planning process that the board has already committed to do, and we're planning on doing that in January. And the case that we were trying to make was that instead of basically making wholesale changes in what's going on in the state of Illinois in the absence of a plan, the suggestion that we were making was let us do our strategic plan and hopefully do a better job of actually prioritizing what we need to do and how we're going to get it done. So that's what we were promoting, was the idea of using our strategic planning to develop a plan for the districts. At that point, use the plan to evaluate our structure for the future. I feel coming out of that meeting that the GOMB, the governor's office, and IDOA are basically giving us an opportunity to do what we can to keep our resources in place while we get to this strategic planning process. So my understanding is that the funds for operations, that we will be able to fund operations from split funds from this $2.2 million evenly between the 97 districts for operations. And this distribution process of the money that's allocated for cost share, the $2.8 million, is still up in the air. There's discussion still going on, and it's still to be determined whether some of that might be able to use for cost share and some of it for operations. So we're still in the negotiation on that. Basically, the takeaway for me from that meeting was there was two major points that we as districts need to be thinking about how to deal with. And one is, I don't know how to say it any better, but it's about the money. So as we try to promote our districts to the governor's office and IDOA, instead of talking about how many acres of stream banks, we've been able to take the education programs that we do, the wonderful work that the districts do. What is important, in my opinion, at this point, is actually the return on investment to the department. How can we show the investment that the state of Illinois is making in soil and water conservation districts through funding operations? How are we able to use that money to bring in other money to get the work done? The concern, as I understand it, was in the very beginning was $6 million to operations and only $1.5 million worth of work getting done. We all know that because districts are there, that we have our valuable resource, our most valuable resource, our employees working, we're able to use that operation dollars to bring in other money. I think in the future we're going to need to be able to document that. The other part is change. Now, as I say, we've heard about change for a year now, but I think I feel like got a better idea of what that means. I was, and maybe other people were jumping to the conclusion that we need to consolidate districts. We need to, they're looking for something particular. But in my opinion, it's really as simple as we need to look at more, take a good look at how we do things. And there's always room for improvement on our processes, how we work with other districts, possibly sharing resources. As far as, maybe it's as simple as, instead of every district having to have a trained RC, maybe as is going on in a lot of our states, you're sharing. Someone has someone trained in the RC work, and then they share with a district that is trained in the AC work. That is a change, and we need to be able to capture those changes. What have we done? And maybe be thinking even beyond that. What can we do to be more relevant and to use the dollars as efficiently as we can. Now, as we talk about change, I want to emphasize that there are no right or wrong answers when we talk about change. Change does not. Change in your area may be something like you need a specialist that doesn't exist, and you're able to work with other districts to make that happen. What is one of the big strengths, in my opinion, to soil and water conservation districts that is not available anymore anywhere that I'm aware of, is the local solution, the ability to have local solution to local problems. With the boards and the employees that we have all across the state, we can have local solutions that fit what is going on in your area, instead of having solutions, shall we say, handed down from the state that may not fit your area, may not be that important. So also think about the fact that change does not just mean employees. Change can mean whatever it is relevant to your area. Let's be thinking of innovation in conservation, and come up with local solutions that fit your area. We just received new information from the governor's office yesterday that the $2.2 million that was slated for operations is still going to be split. It's still slated to be split evenly between the 97 districts. But what has changed is that the governor's office is asking us for 3 proposals on how the remaining $2.8 million should be used, with an additional stipulation that any of that $2.8 million that is used for operations would not be split between 97 districts. This is a situation that the state association, as far as I know, has never been asked to make some kind of a call, a suggestion, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call it. We've never been asked to give a proposal like this that does not really represent all of our members. And I, for one, don't pretend to know what's best or even how to respond to this. So this is something that we're definitely going, that obviously we all need to talk about. And I would hope that everyone will give some thought to this situation, shall we say, that we're being asked to respond to. And send your ideas to Kelly, because my thought right now, and nothing's been done at this point, but my thought right now is that we'll need another conference call with certainly the executive board, any board members that are able to join us, on a conference call, and representatives from the Employees Association, to talk about this new situation and try to figure out, how we respond to it. Again, I don't have a suggestion at this point. but I wanted to get this information out as soon as possible, and I will be asking Kelly to start thinking about or working on a date that we can maybe have a conference call to try to deal with this. The information that we got through IDOA was that before they can issue this $2.2 million, they need these 3 proposals from the state association. And so they're suggesting to us that we need to respond as quickly as possible, hopefully within a week or so is the information that I had. And so, unfortunately, this is not something that we can put off, but again, we need to give some serious thought on how to respond to this. And so I know we have good thinkers out there, so please send some responses and be thinking about how we can propose to deal with this whenever we do get this conference call put together.